Welcome to the show. My name's Dave, and this is the Not So Ancient Chinese Secret Show. But who am I? What are we doing here? Well, we talk about photo and video, and today's going to be photo, but we also talk about food and fitness as well as family and faith. And some of you might not know, depending on how you found this show, that I'm a professional photographer by day and a media geek by night. And what we do, my wife and I, Quinn, we are DQ Studios, and we do mainly wedding and portrait photography. And this is a recent image that I wanted to go through with you guys. But yeah, and so this is kind of a new thing. We've never really done this online because we do teach workshops and seminars everywhere. Colombia, right? Colombia's in the house. So this is the actual image, and it was taken at like this beautiful venue here locally in Calgary. And you know, it's kind of a weird thing because we are so spoiled by having the ability to be destination wedding photographers. And so we get to go to some amazing spaces like, Greece, Panama, Thailand, Mexico, of course. And the weird thing is, like, even in our own backyard, especially with the new buildings that are coming up downtown, we have some amazing spaces that we can shoot in now. And this is, Erica, your question is, where is this? And the answer is Studio Bell, which is the new National Music Hall in Calgary, Alberta. And the thing is, we can't even take credit for going into this space. It was our clients who actually got permission, first of all, to go in there, and also just allowed us to go in the day before to scout locations. And so the thing is, it looks beautiful from the outside, but until you actually go inside, you don't know how epic it is. Like, I didn't do my homework, I'm so sorry, because I don't know who the architect is, but whoever it is, did an amazing job. It is like we were kids in a candy store figuring out, all the different angles of this space. And so, yeah, let's talk about, first of all, our couple. Like, this is Melissa and Mark, and just a lovely couple. And we had shot Mark's sister's wedding years back, and it was so awesome to have this level of trust. And also, it's Calgary, and so we could literally get all 4 seasons in one day, right? And so they were smart enough and wise enough to get a indoor location, and this was it, the Studio Bell. And what's amazing is that it's a very new building. It's only been around maybe for a year or two, and we had never been inside. We've always admired it from the outside, but they somehow got permission to go inside and shoot their portraits. And it was a good thing they did. When we arrived as a bridal party, we wanted to take some pictures outdoors, right? Because it was pretty nice out. But when we arrived, the weather had just turned, and anybody who lives near us knows that because we're in the foothills and next to the mountains, we get all these crazy weather systems. And so the wind must have been like 80 kilometers an hour, and everybody's hair was like, and they were all like trying to stand their own ground. Like, all the signs on the street were falling over. And so I think we got like one shot in of everybody outside, and then we had to like take cover. And so we all ran inside into the Studio Bell. But what a gorgeous space. And we were so impressed with the space. Like, it's a little bit daunting sometimes. When you walk into a space and you love the space, it's kind of like, where do I even begin? And it's not in the bad way where you're stuck in like this little box and you're wondering, oh man, I've got nothing to do. Where do I begin? It's like there's so many options. You think to yourself, where do we even start, right? And so the interesting thing about images like this is that you've got so much space to play with. And on this day, you have to pay to get into this, right? And the thing about it is that there weren't very many people there, which we loved because we've also been back to Studio Bell when it was free on Canada Day 150. And we took our kids there because not only is this space beautiful, but because it's a National Music Hall, they also have amazing interactive places for kids and adults who are just music lovers to interact and create music. And so we were so thankful that literally there was maybe a handful of people in here. And we kind of had the run of the place. Here's a full frame without cropping. And if you'll notice, there his head isn't cut off in the shadows, which is awesome, right? And so Melissa and Mark, they're so trusting of us, and this isn't by any means the first shot that we took when we walked in the building, right? Because we wanted to start with them, right? And if you take a look at where the bride is, she's standing on that landing, and that's literally the second floor of this building, right? And it's just got that little crevasse, that little V shape of a hole that you can see her through. And then Mark, he's down another floor, right? But what you don't see is Quinn, who's actually taking the shot, is on another 2 floors above the bride. And so we're pretty much using every floor of Studio Bell, right? Which is a little bit nuts if you think about it. What's even crazier is what you can't hear, because if we had a video going with the audio, this is the National Music Hall, right? And they have demonstrations regularly with musicians that come in and demonstrate, and they have tours. There is an organist blasting this pipe organ, playing everything from like Take Me Out to the Ball Game to like, church music. So it was a little bit intense, and we could hardly hear ourselves talking to each other in front of each other, let alone trying to figure out where Quinn is and what she's asking of Melissa and Mark. And so it was a little bit intense as far as being so far away. And what we had done, we had looked at this space before, the day before, and we knew that we wanted to get something epic and showcase the space, but also our couple as well, right, in this space. And it's kind of difficult when there's so much distance between you and your subjects, right? And so what happened was I stayed with Melissa and Mark, and both of them in the beginning were where Melissa is, the bride. And so we were just in that little crevasse, and Quinn was taking some pictures of both of them in that little space. And when she went up another couple floors, she realized, oh my goodness, there's this big opening, and it would be great to have Mark walk through there. And so because we couldn't hear her, and it would be kind of rude to just shout from the 4th floor, hey, good guys, yeah. What she did, she called me up on my cell phone, and we do this sometimes. We used to bring radios with us, but cell phones work equally well too, and you don't have to worry about radio interference, especially in some place like this, which is downtown Central, and it's the National Music Hall, so there's likely a lot of radio frequencies bouncing around, okay? And so she calls me up, and she goes, can you get Mark to go down? Because we're all together on that second landing with Melissa. And she goes, can you tell Mark to go down and just walk down that little wooden path? And I thought about it and go, he's never going to know, 1, exactly where you want him to walk, and 2, when you want him to walk, right? Because like these things don't just happen and align themselves with the stars, especially when you consider technically we're lighting both of them, right? Remotely with wireless flash. And so I said, okay, I'll just set up the light on a tripod on the bride, and I'll walk with Mark down on the main floor. And so that's what we did. So Mark and me went downstairs. Organs are still blaring. We still can't hear a thing, but I'm on the phone with Quinn, and I'm shouting at Mark, okay, just walk that way. And then Quinn says, oh, since you're there on the same floor as Mark, can you put a light on him and cast a shadow? And so, of course, we can leverage each other's positions, which is awesome. And this is something that we couldn't do if we were one photographer, because it'd be so hard to set up the light, to cast a shadow, to test the light, to make sure there's the right length of shadow, because literally the first couple of shots, the shadow was too long. And so I had to raise the light so that the shadow would be shorter and be maintained inside the frame. And so there's just so much going on that this whole title is One Shot, the making of the image, but it takes so much more than one click of the shutter to get an image like this. And that's the crazy thing. And so, yeah, there's several things technically that make this image work. Not only the risk of executing, excuse my cough, but we gelled the flashes. And so you'll notice, and I think it was Bob Davis who had mentioned yesterday, he loves the color contrast and how it draws your eye. Thank you so much, Bob. It means so much coming from you. And how that's happening is that there's a lot of natural light coming in from the sky lights of the Bell Studio Bell. And so what we did is we gelled the flashes. And so when we gel the flashes to a warm tone, then we correct in post-process for that warm tone. Then natural light, which is sunlight streaming through the windows, turns a little bit blue. And it looks amazing when you put that against the tile that the entire Studio Bell is made of. So I just love the way that this image comes together and all those different colors and textures come to play. And as far as the lights are concerned, they're just two little strobes. They're nothing terribly fancy. And any of you could get that gear for, I guess, not too much money these days. But the technical side is one part. But really, we're so thankful to have clients that trust us on this level. And, there's gear, there's vision, you have to balance the risk and the reward of, okay, can I deliver the shot if I have to run up 3 stairs of floors? Can I guarantee that I can get this shot, right? So maybe not. And then, so what's the worst possible scenario? You have nothing to show for that time that you've spent in trying to create this image, right? But the reward, if we can execute, then am I going to be able to get something that's going to be magical and that can kind of be art for them, and they can remember their day in a special way too, and the portraiture that we can create together. And so that's kind of the balance that we have to have. And really, we're so thankful that both Melissa and Mark were just so easy to work with. And whatever we asked, could you levitate over there on that second floor? Yeah, sure. Okay. And so it was amazing that we had their entire trust. And Mark, we had to send him down walking there. I think it was twice that Quinn wanted him to walk down there, and she had the shot done. And I actually insisted on a third time. And so just in case I messed up on, casting the wrong shadow length and all that jazz. And it's not a one shot, one kill, because this isn't exactly a photojournalistic moment, right? This is going to be a portrait that was visioned a day earlier, but executed in a different way on a day, and trying to work around problems like whether it's an organ blaring or figuring out how do we communicate with our clients, right? But Quinn and I are so thankful for the opportunity to do what we do, to be creative, to create images for our clients. But ultimately, it comes down to relationship, right? It's the relationship between us and the clients, them trusting us enough to allow us to create stuff that they can't even imagine. Because they're probably thinking, where is Quinn? And it took her, a couple minutes to go up those stairs, and we couldn't even see her for a while because there's so many different places. It's like hide and seek in this place. And the other thing is the relationship that I have with Quinn. And so we've been shooting together for 15 years, and we don't really have to question each other. We don't have to think, okay, wow, I wonder if he'll know where to put the light, And so I'll ask her on the phone, okay, is the shadow too long or is it too short? And then she'll tell me exactly, what she needs, and I'll adjust as needed. And so all these things have allowed us to be able to work together to create images like this at every single wedding. And so thanks so much for being here, guys. That's all I have to share today. I did have a thought of a day because it is Friday, and let's leave us thinking together. And I came across this quote, and it says, being a professional is doing the things you love to do on the days you don't feel like doing them. And this is so cool to me because I think this applies more to just being a professional. I think this applies to loving somebody. And, even if you don't feel like loving, if it's your spouse or even yourself, love yourself, love your spouse. And these are decisions that we have to make. But I also find that these are things as professionals we have to do. We have to perform on a high level when things are going badly for us, whether it's in our personal lives, if things are falling apart, or if you've lost something, you still have to perform on a high level. And so, as we enter the weekend, whether you're shooting a wedding, a portrait, or just hanging out with family, I hope you guys can embrace the ones that you love and really dig down and develop these relationships with your family members, with your spouse, and with your clients, because in the end, it's not he who has the most things or prettiest pictures that wins. I think it's he's the one who loves the most that wins. So thank you guys so much for being here and joining me. I want you guys to know that if you guys love this, you guys can share it on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you are. And I would love for you guys to subscribe at ChineseSecrets.com. And if you guys are into this kind of thing, you can also sponsor the show. So I think that's it. We'll see you guys on Monday. Happy Friday, guys, and God bless. And I'll see you in the next live stream.